Hello, in this video we are going to imitate this effect shot. This is a shot from a animation movie called Rango. I really recommend you to watch this if you haven't watched it yet. So here's our final rendered image, rendered sequence. Let's go to Maya and see how can we do this. Okay, I download this free rig from animationmentor.com. It's a very nice rig, easy to control it. I made a very simple animation. I'm sorry for this terrible animation. I'm not good at character animation. So, but this is basically enough for this case. After I made the animation in this character, I select all the geometry and export the geometry as a OBJ file. Here the three separate geometry here, a body, eyes and the hair. Then I import it to Maya again and import the geometry cache on it. So if I scrap the timeline, as you can see I have same animation in my geometry here. Then I duplicate my main character like 3 times, but not like duplicate a normal like Ctrl D or edit duplicate. I chose duplicate special and I clicked duplicate input graph. By doing that you also duplicate your geometry cache, and if you have materials you will also duplicate your materials. So after I duplicate my main character 3 times, I separate the effect into 3 parts. 1 part for the head, 1 part for the upper body, 1 part for the lower body. I group them in my outliner. This is my collision character. By the way, we are going to use enclosed for the crumbling pieces. Yeah, these pieces are enclosed. Basically, they are stick to the geometry, and in a certain time they release their input attract mesh attribute, and they fall down with the gravity. This is my collision character. I will also use this for my main render character. Here upper body, lower body and head FX, head part. Okay, how we gonna do it? I move this group to the in a x axis. So for example, if I move this in a 0 from a lower body, it goes the original position. For upper body and the head, I think I move the pieces here. Okay, let's select the head group and isolate it. What I'm going to do, first select all the faces belongs to head and shift right click and say transform component, and we're gonna transform all the faces in the Z direction in a very small amount of like that, like 0.005, or you can go 1.5 or 2. Why we are doing that? Because otherwise our enclosed pieces is going to interpenetrate with the main collision object, so we don't want that. After I move my faces in the Z direction, I'm going to shift right click and say split polygon tool. I create small pieces in this face. You are completely free to create all kind of shapes, but try to make them smaller in the detailed areas, like the nose, like the eyes area. Let's create a couple of more small pieces. I hit G to do the last command. I create another small chunk here. I press enter after my split polygon is finished. Okay, I did this splitting the whole face in like a 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and I created all this all these small pieces like you see here. This is my final effect scene, as you can see here. After I split these three chunks, let's extract them from the original geometry. I select all the faces, and shift right click and say extract faces. Now we have three separate geometry, but the good thing is, let's move our head group to the side so you can see it better, like 10. Now we have the these pieces, and if I scrap the timeline, you will see that because we keep the history on it, all the split functions, separate functions, our small chunks also takes animation data from the geometry cache, so it's gonna move exactly as our original geometry, as you can see here. After that, I simply hide the head geometry and the hair, and select three pieces, and I give a smooth, and select outer vertices, not all of them, and some of them. Let's select also for this. Why we are doing that? Because we're gonna give average vertices function to those vertices to create non-uniform look. Otherwise it's gonna look very sharp and non-organic. So I press shift and say average vertices. You can hit G to double it, or I think that's enough. Now we have a completed tree chunk here. Let's move the head group to the original position and isolate head group and the collision geometry. Okay, as you can see, there's a small gap here between our chunk and the original collision geometry. That's because we don't want to intersect two geometry when we simulate our effect. What I'm going to do, select all this tree chunk and from the end mesh menu, convert them to enclosed. Let's give it a simple bling material to see it better. Blue maybe. Now if I go back to frame 0 and play, as like normal cloth behavior, they're gonna fall down because of the gravity. What we're gonna do, we're gonna play with the input attract mesh until some frame, and then we're gonna release it, and then we're gonna put a couple of turbulence field and volume axis field to give a better movement. Because it's sometimes it gets very hard to change attribute from attribute manager for every single object. I create a very simple Python code to do the attribute changing job for me. So basically what I'm doing here, let's select these three enclosed object, these and first I import the Maya commands as arf, and then I create a list from my selected objects. If I execute this slobj variable, you're gonna see these are our enclosed, and I'm going to change a couple of attributes. I'm going to change the damp in the enclosed. Let's see the attributes here. Here's the damp. I'm gonna change it to 1 for all the three enclosed pieces. I'm going to change the point mass, this one, and self collision, because if your camera is somewhere here, maybe you will need self collision, but a camera like this, no one is going to see are they collide with each other or not. So to make the simulation faster, you can disable the self collision. And I also give some rest length scale. It's more than 1. It means these pieces becomes bigger when the simulation starts. And I give a little bit rigidity, and I also make input attract damped 0. So let's execute this script. Let's check our slobj list contains our enclosed 1, 2, 3, okay, and then I execute this code. Okay, let's check that these pieces take the rigidity 0.04, 0.04, mass 0.1, mass 0.1. Let's go to 131, frame 131, because in that frame character becomes awake. Let's see here. Here in the 131 it starts to awake. So we're gonna activate encode at that point. Not to activate, we're gonna release it from the geometry cache. So in the 131 we're gonna set a keyframe in the input attract mesh. Here I make it 1 for 3 of them and create a keyframe, go to 135 and make it 0. Okay, now we don't have to wait from frame 0 to 120 because it's not nothing happened in between those frames. So we can say to nucleus cloud simulation can start from the 125. In that frame it's going to start to simulate. Let's go to 120 and hit play. Okay, it works nice, except we should convert this collision. Here is my collision group, so I'm gonna convert this as a nmesh passive collider. Let's go to 120 and hit play again. Here, as you can see, they move to the negative x direction quite fast. So prevent this, you can increase the air density like 10, or you can animate it at the beginning. You can say it's 10, let's say 131 it's 10, and 135 it's 1. Let's simulate again. Now it's better. And also you can click use plane from the nucleus node to create ground plane without creating a plane and assign a passive collider to it. So this was the main idea that I follow to achieve this. Let's go to original scene and see the outliner. As you can see, I have head group, that I have chunks. In some parts I use more subdivision in my geometry. That way I create these very non-uniform, very noisy small pieces. But the more subdivision means longer simulation times. I have upper body group here and lower body group here. I animate my air density from 8 to 1 in between these frames, 135 and 143, when the character starts to wake up in here. Or you can create a damp field, or drag field, and you can animate it. And then after my simulation of these pieces finishes, I select all these pieces and export those pieces as an OBJ file. Then export this simulation data as a geometry cache file. Then I create a new scene and import those OBJs and cache files to create my render scene. So for the second part of the as you can see here, it's crumbling here, and then pieces fall down, character squeeze again, and it's gonna crumbling again. I use same pieces, but the one thing that I changed for the second part of the pieces was my let's select one of the enclosed and see the graph editor. You remember we first put our input attack mesh keyframes between 130 and 135. So the second awake was in 260, 265 in those frames. So I just select all my enclosed objects here. I select two keys, and by selecting hit the W key and pressing the shift key with the middle mouse button, I just move the desired position in my timeline. Your character may wake in a different time, so it depends on your movement. I also gave some animations to the fields, but I simulate the whole effect without these fields. The result was not very different. It completely depends on you to use any field or not. Then I create some basic render passes like a beauty, an ID pass for the character on the ground, and I render the pieces as different passes, and I create different paths for pieces, different ID paths for pieces. Timeline is very slow now because there are like 500 different pieces and they are reading cache, and I have shadow paths for the pieces. So there is nothing much in the fusion. I just play with the characters beauty paths with the color correction node to give some desaturation at some points. For example, here, let's make this here. I gave some keyframes to the saturation of the character to, for example, now it's desaturated at a certain point. It becomes it goes back to normal. So this is pretty much all. I'm going to put this scene file as a project file to our website, so you can download it and play with it. The good thing, by the way, is if your animation changes, because we are using geometry cache, so all you have to do is to change the cache file. So that's all. Thank you for watching.